Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for December 26th, 2021. I hope everyone had a great Christmas Eve, as they get ready for 5 days left in 2021 as we get yourself ready for 2022 and beyond. NFL today, and it's always been any given Sunday. And let's just say today, any given Sunday, a lot of overnight power moves, a lot dealing with COVID. Who's in, who's out, who's not. Interesting. So from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican, myself and my co-host Scott Webb has you covered as we get you closer to the kickoff in just over 2 hours and 15 minutes. So without further ado, my co-host, the man with the plan, from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is happening?
Morning, Jeff, and Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to everybody out there. I hope everybody had a good time visiting family and friends, and maybe cashed a few tickets along the way, and had plenty of ham or turkey or whatever you celebrate, and you got all your presents that you really wanted.
Well, I see you got yourself a new Bucks hat, so I guess we're getting ready for the stretch run and getting yourself ready for the playoffs. Should be interesting in the NFC. The team that I touted early in the August started to make a run, and they crashed, and then they got another run going, and they started becoming that public trendy lookout, and that was the Niners. We'll talk about them at some point. Now I'm starting to hear some rumblings from the peanut gallery about Dallas, and I will just. Actually, Dallas is a good way I can start this. You know why? Because I'm going to bring up last night's games. Okay. The Cleveland Browns are okay. They're preseason, we expected them to be a part of the playoff chase. We expected them to be a part of the North. They've had a lot of injuries. They get rid of OBJ midseason. Baker in, Baker out. Chubb in, Chubb out, Hunt in, Hunt out. If yesterday's not the best example, I mean, you could bring up 4, 5, 6 of these games. Again, another game with another opportunity to win the game, not cover, because they did cover. But that's what we're all about. But the point is, they come up short. Why? Baker threw 4 interceptions. Okay. He's not the answer, guys. Okay, nothing. Listen, and he's going to be looking for what, 35, 40 million a year. I think if you wanted to play hardball here, Scott, you could pull a Tom Brady on him back with the Pats and say, hey, if you want to stick and stay here, we'll give you a 4 for 100, which is dirt cheap for a starting quarterback in the NFL, 25 per, and we'll give you 2 years guaranteed, and then we'll discuss it for year 3 or 4. But where I was going with the Baker Mayfield again. Is with the Arizona Cardinals. Come out guns blazing 7-0. They were the team to beat in the NFC. Then some nicks and bumps. Kyler gets hurt. Hopkins gets hurt. Okay, as I said, with Cleveland and Mayfield, it all starts with that coach, Kingsbury, whatever you want to call him. Okay, and I said it on my timeline yesterday. Okay, I don't know shit. Okay. But I do know this. If you couldn't win in Texas Tech, you're not going to win in the NFL, okay, pal? And it starts at the top. Mistakes, just one after another. And this just didn't happen this week again. I mean, I could talk about I could talk about Prater, okay? Missed extra point, not one, but 2 missed field goals. Right there's the game right there. But again, it starts up top. Murray walking around with a sourpuss, blah, 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 blah. So again, my 2 headliners again, Cleveland, you're going to have to move on from Baker unless you try to get him on the dirt cheap and you want to roll it out again for a year or 2. And Kingsbury. Those are my two topics. I mean, you can run wherever you want to go, but again, Arizona, we talked about it last week and the week before. They're going to be one and done if they get in the playoffs, which they probably will. But yeah, my sermon's over.
Well, it's the NFL, man. I mean, that's the way it is. It's it's scrutiny over scrutiny over scrutiny with these teams, and I don't think it's a shock for anybody, especially anybody that's watched us before, to talk about Baker Mayfield in the light that we view him. I think there was I don't know if it was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I threw the question at you, which was take Daniel Jones off the Giants and put him on the Browns, and I think you got a better football team on the Browns. And I don't know why the Browns don't try to look for something along those lines. Now maybe the Giants are a team asking a proverbial ton for Daniel Jones, but I just think that like you had mentioned and the different things that he's not the answer that's going to get them to where they need to go in Cleveland. He's just not. And then in the Arizona side, I don't disagree with you. That's Cliff Kingsbury, can't even say his damn name. Is he's one of these guys that he knows offense, but he doesn't know. It's kind of like this, right? If you're at and I'm doing this because I'm writing that book for you, but it's you sit here and you go, okay, well, I'm a good handicapper. Okay, great. You're a good handicapper. But that doesn't mean you're a good gambler. That doesn't mean you're a good investor. It doesn't make you make wise decisions on how to manage your bankroll. So over the course of time, you're a loser when it comes to actually making wagers. So just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're running the process the way it's supposed to run. And I think that's pretty obvious in the case of the Arizona Cardinals. That's a good football team. And, the problem with the Cardinals and probably the problem with some of these teams, and one of the things we don't necessarily look deep into enough is when you're missing one of your guys and, they're missing number 10 there, Hopkins. And when you're missing him and you don't have another option to go to, you're not as good of a football team as you thought you were if you're all predicated based off of one player. Like Green Bay, right? Green Bay has Adams, and then they throw the ball to Adams, and he scores all the touchdowns, and he does all the other stuff. But they do pass the ball around enough, and they get good enough running that team is more of a team concept than a one-player concept. And if you have a one-player concept in the NFL, you're going to be able to be beaten. And these teams that have high-paid, they're high-paid defensive coordinators, they are going to take away your best options in these playoff games anyway. You're going to have bad weather in most of these games. And the truth of it is that if you can't win minus your best option or limited best options, you're not going to be able to win these games anyway. So I tend to think just like what you're saying. Those two teams are kind of a capsule of what NFL is today. They can beat certain teams and they can't. Look at the Colts now. The Colts have won 6 of their last 8 games, and one of the games they lost was to these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's and they battled that game all the way to the end in that game. So, I mean, I just think that it's one of these spots where, Indianapolis is playing pretty well, and they play under a team concept with a big running back. So, it's how do these teams play? What's their various things? And I can tell you a team that's on the come that nobody's talking about is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are a team on the come. That's a team that's going to make the playoffs. That's a team that's going to, I don't know if they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but they're going to make it. And they're like 10-point favorites today. And as these other teams lose, they win and they beat these Giants. They got to play the Giants today. And that's a team that I don't think anybody's even looking at, that they don't even understand. Like, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles in the last, say, from week 8 to now, they are number 1 on run defense. They are number 2 in run offense and number 3 on pass offense. Who in the hell thought that? I don't think anybody thinks that. And if you think about that, that's how you're going to win football games. And, I think that's a team that nobody's paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk to a blue in the face here, which we won't bore all the listeners here and everyone watching everywhere. We'll get you up to the window. I'm going to share. We'll go to wagertalk.com. Anyone looking to follow along can go to wagertalk.com, click on free odds, and those guys do a hell of a job here. And we're going to show you up to date what's going on in the world as you get closer to kickoff at less than 2 hours here. I'll just point out some big overnight moves for everyone. Again, a lot of these, we always talk about steam, no steam, false steam, and some of these have obviously predicated on COVID and guys out. I will tell you that this morning, Travis Kelce is out for Kansas City. So anyone in your fantasy playoffs that have Kelce, make sure you got another option there. But overnight, some big moves. The Eagles have now gone from 8.5 to 11. They were trending up. They were around 10 earlier this weekend, so they're up to 11. The Chargers opened at 10.5, 12.5 everywhere, 13 at DraftKings and 13 at Pinnacle. Atlanta finally landed on 7 as they host the Lions. Goff is expected to be out. Swift, I haven't got confirmation, yay or nay on. Cincinnati opened at 2.5 all the way to 7 as they called Boomer Esiason to see if he could step in, and he said no, he's going to get ready for a show tomorrow. So I think it's Josh Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, for the Ravens, as Huntley and Jackson are not playing. I think the best game, there's 2 good games at 1 o'clock, the Rams at Minnesota. 3.5, depending on where you're shopping, and anyone with Cooper Kupp that's been blessed in the fantasy, I don't know who the hell is going to cover them. So you can already pencil yourself in for 9 for probably 169 and probably 2 touchdowns there. The Jets have quietly snuck up to a 2.5-point favorite against Jacksonville. Overnight, money came in on Buffalo. The Pats. Okay, so let me just set this straight for the 100th time, people. Patriots and Buffalo. The Pats didn't open at 2 for the 101st time. It opened basically at a pick'em, Pats -1. Okay, they wanted Patriot money. It blossomed all the way to 2.5 overnight last night. It went down to a pick with our friends at Circa, Mr. Benson, Mr. Stevens, and Matt. I now have it at they still have it at a pick. -1 at Westgate, South Point, Caesars. So there was some money that came in on Buffalo. KC has gone all the way as high as now 10.5 against Pittsburgh. Your Denver Vegas is basically a pick 'em. Circa has Denver -1. And the Dallas has dropped down to 9.5, which is the 8:20 game. So again, some big moves. Steam maybe on a couple spots. The Buffalo game was the one that really caught my eye. But overall, again, due to injuries, due to COVID, those are the moves. There's the board. Scott, take it away.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at these numbers, you gotta rationalize certain things, right? So 10 is a key number in the NFL, and if people if the betting board shows the number going through a 10 or through a 7 or through these key numbers, and they don't care, I think that tells you a lot about where that game is. So like that Jaguar game, the Chargers game, right? it was what, 10 or something like that. Now it's like 12 and a half, 13. I mean, they didn't care about that 10 and a half number. They didn't care about 11. They didn't care about 11 and a half, 12. I mean, they're expecting that game to be, a Charger blowout. So that's why they're betting it the way that they do, and they don't worry about the key number there. And I think that that's part of when you're doing these games and you're trying to figure this stuff out. You got to understand what a key number is, and then if the number gets bet through the key number and it keeps going, because the betting market's telling you the key number doesn't matter. Maybe this should be a 14-point game. Maybe it should be a 17-point game, and they've got the number way wrong. My opinion is you don't want to bet the Chargers as a favorite, so I'm not even going to go there. So I'm not taking them one way or the other. My numbers in that game came out to 30-10. Was that right? No, it was my numbers came out 35-13 in that game. The big win for the Chargers. But am I going to sit here and bet on the Chargers in that game? I am not, because I have seen that many a time where the Chargers as a favorite are just, they don't play up to that number. They don't play up to the level of caliber of competition unless they're the underdog. So I just want to stay off of that. But in trying to figure out some of these games to play on, I still can't figure out why the Atlanta Falcons are a touchdown favorite over anybody. So I do like the Lions a little bit today, plus the 7 points. Not that the Lions are a great football team, but the Lions have been playing a little more scrappy, what I think, than what the Falcons are. The Falcons have been playing pretty good run defense, but I think at the same time, the Falcons, I have the game at like 23-16, 23, like a 6-5 point spread where the Falcons should win the game, but it still doesn't cover a touchdown. So I'm okay with the Lions taking a touchdown. And the other game that I thought was intriguing, Jeff, and you had mentioned the tight end out for Kansas City, is how does Pittsburgh stay with Kansas City today? I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. So if you look at the numbers, and here's how this game plays out. The Pittsburgh Steelers are number 20 in rushing offense, number 20 in passing offense. And the Kansas City Chiefs defense have been playing much, much better. They're number 10 against the run and number 4 against the pass. So that tells me that Pittsburgh's not going to be able to move the ball very well. And on the other side, Kansas City's number 5 rushing the football and number 6 passing the football. And they're going to face a team that's number 32. Pittsburgh's number 32 against the run over the last 7 weeks, and they're number 13 against the pass. So there's no path that Kansas City doesn't have to both sides of the street. On defense, stop Pittsburgh, and on offense, be unstopped. So I like that game over. I think it's 11 now, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that it's kind of funny. Kels gets announced out, and again, Kansas City did not open at 9.5 people. That was more about a 7.5, 8. It's all the way up to 11 at circa 10.5 across the Vegas Strip here. Anyone watching and listening, if you got 2 seconds and you're not following myself or Scotty, right there on Webby 20 MLB for Scott and EC Sports Invest, jump on over to our YouTube station if you got a quick second and come follow us there. Subscribe, check the like button, tweet, retweet, tell your friends, turn on the notifications so you do not miss a show that myself, Scotty, or anyone else of our guests that come on here as well. Also, Scott, going back to that Falcon and Lion game again, that move was, I think, the real move to 7 again was the announcement from Coach that the Lions and Goff would not be starting there. So the Falcons have been kind of a funny team, and meaning record-wise right now, they're 6-8. They've been hanging around. They put together a few close ones. They're never going to blow anyone out. And I always talk about Matt Ryan as that guy that's great from 20 to 20. He cannot get a touchdown in the red zone to save his soul. Usually settle for 3 there. But getting back to your Pittsburgh game, that Chiefs is really, really blossomed. I mean, Big Ben cannot get out of his own shadow. He can't throw it more than 20 yards. The Chiefs defense has been playing a lot better. Uh, you got a Steeler team still hanging around at 7-6-1. It's kind of comical because when you look at it, Scott, the Ravens and the Bengals, someone's going to be 9-6 and someone's going to be 8-7. So, and that game's at 1 o'clock. So before that game goes in, you're going to kind of have a feeling what exactly is happening there. So I agree with you with the Chiefs. 2 weeks ago, we talked about a collision course, Chiefs and Patriots, and now everyone's going to talk about a collision course, Chiefs and Colts. The Colts come off the bye. They beat the Pats, then they travel to Arizona. So they're sitting in that catbird seat there. Big win for the Titans on Thursday, against the Niners. So they're sitting well too. And a Patriots loss, and then all of a sudden they'll be in a 2-game streak. Buffalo's back in the mix to win the East. I mean, it's, excuse my French here, but it's kind of a shit show.
Well, the AFC for sure. I think the NFC's almost in a spot where, there's only a few teams battling here for a couple of spots. There's a lot of teams that have won 10 games in the NFC, and that game you were talking about with the Rams and the Vikings, I can see a lot of points put up here. I like that game to go over the 49 number. My number comes out to 34-26, and I mean that's a pretty high scoring game. But there's nothing there that stops the Rams offense on the Minnesota side, and Minnesota plays these tight, close games, and they stay within 7-8 points. I kind of like that idea. And if the Rams get to 30 points, that game's going to go over the number. So I'm pretty happy with the idea of I can get over 49 in that game. And I played that game over 49. I played the Chiefs and I played the Lions today. Those were the three that I played. And I scratched some of these other games that I thought I wanted to play the damn Eagles so bad today. And then I looked at the board and I don't know what your numbers say, but here on pregame, it shows the Eagles. It shows that 85% of the money and 75% of the tickets are on the Eagles. Okay, I'm getting off of that. I'm not playing along with 85% of the money and 75% of the tickets. So that just steers me 100% away, even though I like that side a lot. So I just stayed away from that one. And that Chargers game shows on here 90% of the money and 85% of the tickets are on the Chargers. Again, that's going to throw me off of that one. But if you're going to ride past a key number like 10, I think that you're going to need a lot of the money and a lot of the tickets to be on one side for it to move like that.
Yeah. And, we've been trying to talk to people for a long, long time here. The 1st will be the start of our 7th year of public service here at East Coast Sports Investors. And that's a big part of our game here is ticket count, where the money's going, and the percentages. Myself here have been grandfathered in with Sports Insight. We use Don Best, we use Wager Talk, we use pregame. So we don't just use one source, we use multiple source for our checks and balances. And so it's kind of funny. The NFL is the end game of the week. You might catch a Laker game or a late NBA game to try to save the day or save the week and whatsoever. But when you're diving into 70, 80, 90%, you're following the public. I mean, it's a train wreck, and we can't preach it enough here. You kind of want to stay away from those guys because, hey, listen, I get the public and the degens. They do win. They don't win often enough or long term, but, they do have their days. Don't get me wrong. Favorites are 11-2. They had it earlier this year where the favorites and the overs were just cash cows. But long term, they're not going to come in. So that's why, when Derek and the guys at Circa put together a $6 million contest, a survivor contest, pick one team, and if it wins, you move on, and then they have some Thanksgiving weeks. They have a Christmas week, with the Cardinals losing, I think they were down to 16. I think half the pool had the Cardinals left, so they're gone. And but yeah, just stay away from the train wrecks, guys. Sunday to us, fun day. Put together an action parlay and play with the, if we're down 3 units, we put together a parlay where we might pop them for 5 or 6 units. If we lose, we just turn the page and get ready for Monday and the new week. It's not just because Tampa's favored by 10.5 doesn't mean that, they're going to go guns a-blazing. You talked about the Chargers, 12.5, 13 now. Atlanta, 7 with no Goff for Detroit. Baltimore, again, down to their third quarterback. Now, Cincy's 7-point favorites. I'm sorry. Cincy is not worthy of 7-point favorites right now. I'm sorry. It's a divisional game. Someone's going to get to 9 wins today. And I know the quarterback's there, okay? Listen, it's just one game. And these quarterbacks where they're just coming out of that 1 week where there's no film on this guy, you got to dig back to the archives. I'm not telling you to run to the window and play the Ravens, but I'm telling you don't run to the window and play the Bengals. Again, KC, I like the move there. I think they should cover. But again, you're getting to that double digits, 10, 10.5, 11, where, back to a little Joe, 38 seconds left, Roethlisberger to Deontay Johnson, or to the running back, and they were just down, 16, and they cut it to 8 or something. Pats Buffalo, I got mixed reviews there. The one game we haven't talked about, we'll close here because we're almost a half hour in. We're at 11 o'clock. Scotty, break down the Denver Vegas game for me in this regards. The computer model game was a pick in 42. No Bridgewater. It's locked today. Raiders -1. Now it's a pick all the way across, and it's circa Denver is now -1. What's your number say?
Well, my numbers came out 21-21. So it didn't pick a model. It didn't pick a winner. When it comes out 21-21 like that, I'm like, shit, I don't want my numbers don't come out to a win. I mean, it's kind of hard to play, but 21-21. And the reason why, because Denver is number 8 rushing the football over the last, say, 7 weeks. They're number 12 throwing the football. Now, Bridgewater's not going to play, right? So they got another quarterback in there that probably wouldn't be that good. But the Raiders are number 32 against the pass. So I guess the question then becomes does it matter who's the quarterback? If you're the worst team in the league against the pass, you're going to stand a chance to move the football. And then when the Raiders get the ball, they can't run anymore. They're 29th in the NFL running the football, and they are 19th throwing the football. So they got a good opportunity to throw the football. But the Denver defense is number 5 against the pass. So I didn't see a clear path for the Raiders. In fact, I think they're actually going to lower their percentage of what, so I guess the way this works is that the raw numbers came out 23-19 Raiders win, but based off of the matchup and the defenses that they're going to face, I took down the number for the Raiders by 2, and then to make it a real football number against the 21, it can't be 22, so it's 21. And then for the other side for Denver, it actually goes up because the Raider defense. So that's how it ended up being 21-21. And I guess raw numbers show that the Vegas should be the winner of the game. But the matchup to me indicates that the way they're playing is that one goes down, one goes up, and then that makes it a really tough game to try to figure out. I would tell you, though, that anytime you have a backup quarterback that's facing a potential star in the league quarterback, I mean, I don't know what you call Derek Carr. I think he's better than a Baker Mayfield, but I don't think he's as good as a Aaron Rodgers, right? But I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. He's all they have. I mean, that's the only offense that they have. I mean, I would like to see Jacobs do a lot better job running the football for that team, but their offensive line sucks. So so it's one of those spots where, okay, they just got to try to survive and do the best they can. And I guess the way I would play this game, if I absolutely had to play this game, because the numbers are just almost perfect to what I have. It's 21-21. I think the number is what, 42, right? The total, or 42 and a half. And I guess the way I would take it, and I would take the home team that doesn't have to cover anything in a divisional game. So that would make sense to me, just to play it on that side of it if I were going to play it at all. But my numbers indicate that I shouldn't be on that game.
Shout out to our buddy Marty Lowe. Marty Lowe, hope your holidays were great. Good morning to you as well, as you get ready for a big game on the 31st against Cincinnati. You're currently 13.5-point favorites in the first of
Hey,
two.
Jeff, by the way, the book, the college book, it's 9-6 on sides and 10-5 on totals, by the way.
And speaking of that, Scotty put some hard work together on a college guide that we have, myself or Scott. Anyone that looking to get that, reach us on social media. I already threw that out to you guys here on, gave everyone our two spots here. Myself at EC Sports Invest on Twitter, or Scotty at Webby20MLB. Reach one of us, DM us. We'll send you the email. There's still plenty of games left to go there. As Scott just said, 9-6 on sides, 10-6 on totals, as they will heat up here in the next week. And as we get closer to the Final Four, Bama versus Cincinnati, and Georgia versus Michigan. Kind of funny what the NCAA said too. It's basically last man standing. So if three teams got it COVIDed out, the last man standing is your national champ this year. So that's interesting as well. So closing here, it's a mixed board, obviously. Follow Shefty. Make sure, any late scratches on your fantasy side. Don't follow the steam this week. A lot of it, it's real tough to gauge what's real, what's not real. Like I said, big move on the Pittsburgh KC game. Saw some overnight move on Buffalo today. Cincinnati up to 7. That's because of the quarterback. Atlanta up to 6.5, 7. Again, no Goff. Chargers 12.5. Big move there. Philly 11 now against the Giants, and your Tom Buccaneers at 10.5. Scotty, take us home. Give everyone a few winners, and to wrap it up.
Well, I played the Lions plus the 7. I played Kansas City. And I don't think I paid 11. I think I paid 10.5 at the time. And, but 11's fine. I mean, it's the same number for the most part. And I played the Rams in Minnesota over the 49 number. So I played those 3 bets. I do like the Saints tomorrow night. If we get that far, when we get to, tomorrow's show. And the one thing I would tell you is, those people back in the Buccaneers today, just remember that they don't have any wide receivers playing tonight. So, they're gonna have to try to figure out a way to score points against a pretty good defense in Carolina. Carolina can't score. Maybe the better way, and I'll just make a recommendation if you want to play that game under, even though I think the numbers come down already a lot. So, that's just going to be one of those games. I think Tampa Bay wants to win and get out of there and get these guys healthy a little bit so that they can be ready down the stretch. But this is a fun day. It's not a super terrible board like some of the weeks have been in the past. There's a couple of good games, but I will tell you that there's a lot of meaningful games. Even games that you didn't think were going to be meaningful. If you look at San Francisco, Tennessee, and Cleveland, Green Bay, Indianapolis, Arizona, those are all great games. And then hopefully we get a few good games out of today's matchups, and then, kind of go from there. So as we go forward, I think we got a lot to look forward to. The NFL playoffs are coming. We still got more college football to go, and now we're going to be getting into some of the better teams playing each other. So it'll be more fun that way, unless you're, like me or like Jeff, and we're kind of into all these other, we want to watch Coastal Carolina play and stuff like that.
All right, guys. Tomorrow, myself and Scotty will be here in the morning. We'll get you set up for Monday night. We'll do some college previews again. It's kind of a minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day with the COVID really pressing. The NHL is discussing as we speak when they're going to start back. The college games, the tournament out in Hawaii had a couple scratches. The championship game, Stanford and Vanderbilt, because Stanford had COVID issues. So again, stay safe, do your part, and I'll leave it just there. As Mr. Rothstein says, I love when he says this. Stay positive and test negative. And so keep up with that. Scotty, some great insight as always today. Myself, mixed bag. We're going to send out to all our ECSI VIPs. We'll have our action Sunday Fun Day action parlay coming out soon. Always remember this. When wagering, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want to see you here next week, 2022 and beyond. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB, both on Twitter. We wish you a blessed day. Cash some tickets, and we will see you next week, Monday morning.